the name Oli London means something to you, I'm sending you all the love in the world. If that name doesn't mean anything to you, you're about to find out why knowing that name and what coincides and goes along with that name is the worst knowledge that your brain could ever have. Oli London initially got popular a couple years ago because he announced that he now identified as transracial and that he identifies as Korean. He got a ton of plastic surgery to make himself look like BTS's Jimin. So I already have a pretty bad opinion when it comes to Oli London for that matter, but it's just gotten worse. So in his ever-long quest to become infamous on the internet, because apparently he didn't get enough attention as a child, he has since decided to turn into a far-right extremist. Obviously the transracial thing, and then he transitioned to being non-binary, and then into being a woman, and now he has since detransitioned and is now a British man again. And we're going to go down the rabbit hole today. I'm going to go through all of the controversies that he's been involved in, and I'm probably not even going to be able to cover all of them because there are a lot of them. All of that leading up to now his detransition, and we're going to watch as he goes on two of the most credible news shows that are very well known for spreading credible information about being transgender and absolutely no hate towards trans people at all, such as Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan Uncensored. So, you know, obviously just a normal detransitioner sharing their story and how important that is. And I'm just the disgusting trans person who dares to be mad that someone had a different experience than I did, right? That's why I'm going through the initial things that he did, because conveniently in these interviews he has with Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan, they just decided to leave out the entire part where he got surgery to make him look like another human being. So he's basically become like a musician, and whether his music is actually music is up for debate, but he began his K-pop career by releasing the single Perfection, a bilingual English-Korean song revolving on the euphoria he felt after getting his surgeries. He received negative reviews from music critics for his excessive autotune. Wikipedia, I don't know if that's the only reason it received criticism. So 2019 is when he released his single, and he had 18 surgeries to look like BTS star Jimin, and now identifies as Korean. Now let's remove Jimin from all of this, okay? Surgeries don't make you Korean, because you cannot change race. And I know some of you are already typing your little comments right now saying, well, if people can't change their races, then they shouldn't be able to change their gender. I am going to link an article down below that I think you should read. Maybe you should try reading before typing your comments about why we shouldn't compare transracial identities to someone's transgender identity. I just have a few parts of this article that are, in my eyes, the most important. In philosophy, this view is called Essentialism. It's the idea that the rules for gender and race classification are grounded in eternal truths, rules that we can only discover, not revise, and therefore rules that we cannot question. Even those who think about gender or racial categories as social constructions frequently nosedive into essentialist logic as soon as transgender or transracial identities arise. While holding that gender and race categories are human inventions, they simultaneously appeal to rules for gender and race classifications as if these rules forever settle the question of who ought to count as a woman or as black. Gender essentialists typically insist that there is a single fixed trait, biological sex, you guys know we hear about this all the time, that has and will determine gender. But not only have rules for gender classification substantially changed over time, binary categories of biological sex, for example, female and male, resist definition in terms of single, much less fixed trait. And obviously, this ties into someone who is intersex, for example, someone who has been assigned female at birth, but has XY chromosomes, for example. In sum, essentialism flies in the face of evidence that both gender and race classifications are changeable and challengeable, not fixed and inevitable. Someone deeply committed to essentialism will be unflappable in the face of this evidence. For a devout essentialist, essentialism is unfalsifiable. No amount of evidence will convince them to give it up. The fact that various cultures and communities differ in gender and race classifications will not deter the essentialist, who will insist that gender and race have hidden essences. Notice this argument does not apply in the case of gender and gender inequality. Gender inequality, unlike racial inequality, does not primarily accumulate intergenerationally, if only for the obvious reason that the vast majority of households are multi-gendered,
While parents often are responsible for ingraining patriarchal ideas and rigid gender norms in their children, it is extremely difficult to avoid. This is not a passing down of socioeconomic inequality itself, but rather a socialization that perpetuates gender identity.
They are not the same thing, so I just want to get that out of the way, and the fact that he identified as Korean is entirely separate from his female identity, okay? It's horrendously racist that he got surgeries to look like another race. Obviously, the biggest surgery he got was a surgery to make his eyes look like Asian eyes. You know, I'm not even sure if he has a monolid now, but he got surgery to make his eyes appear more angular. That is not the only defining characteristic of someone who is Korean. It's generations of being Korean. It's your culture. It's your language. It's your country, the way you look, the way you act, blah, 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 a ton of other things than just the way you look. This isn't meant to be a hateful video, but he does not even look Korean now. He just looks like he got a bunch of botched plastic surgery. Dude, I look more Asian than he does. But add on to that the fact that he did it to look like another human being is insane. He doesn't even look like Jimin. I'm sure he did not go through any mental health checks to get this surgery on his face, to get these procedures on his eyes, to make him look Asian. Trans people have to go through rigorous mental health evaluations before they can even be considered for having a gender-affirming surgery. So to go along with that, he tweeted, "This is my new official flag for being a non-binary person." So this is when he comes out as a non-cisgender. He's non-binary. This was in last June. "This is my new official flag for being a non-binary person who identifies as Korean. Thank you for the overwhelming support." Did I miss something? It was so hard for me to come out as they/them/core/Ian. Obviously, this is a joke. Again, you'll notice this guy is just a big attention seeker and obviously has, I'm not trying to diagnose anyone, but clearly has some sort of something going on in his head to make him get surgeries to look like another human being. He's obviously a huge attention seeker, and I guess I'm giving it to him by making this video. Sorry, I just had to succumb to the pressure of having to talk about this. But obviously your pronouns cannot be core and Ian. And again, I know all of you are going to be in the comments, well, your pronouns can't be zer. That's not a real word. But it is not a word that refers to someone of another race or someone from another country, because that is offensive. Zer is not the name of a country. It's not the name that you give to someone of another race. Zer is not hurting anybody, as much as you want to think it's hurting you so badly, because I'm sure on a daily basis you have people coming up to you asking you to call them Zer, because that's so extremely common. It's not hurting anybody, unlike this, which is so obviously racist. And then in May of 2022, exclusive on Daily Mail UK. Great website, by the way. When I see an exclusive from Daily Mail, I jump right on it. I'm like, that's good fucking journalism right there. Exclusive. "I have become the person I was born to be. British influencer Oli London comes out as transgender woman after causing controversy by saying they identify as Korean following multiple surgeries." So this was just this past May. Oli, 31, from London. First hit headlines in October 2018. Okay, so this was a while ago. Apologies, I messed up the timeline a bit, but after news broke that they had spent over £75,000 on 15 surgeries to look Korean, causing a massive backlash on social media. Now Oli has come out as a transgender woman who identifies with they pronouns, so it was they/she, and has said they finally feel like I have become the person I was born to be after struggling with our identity for 8 years. You know what? Looking good, though. I love the fit. Ignoring everything he's done, I do have to like the fit. I really like these boots. And that's not a joke. I actually do think the boots are cool. But an exclusive to Daily Mail. Again, A-listers are always going out of their way to get interviews with Daily Mail. Oli said, "While people know I recently had surgeries to transform my face, what I haven't shared with people yet is the recent surgeries I had are to help me become a Korean woman, apparently. Over the last 8 years, I have struggled with identity issues and I've always been confused about who I am." That sucks for you. But you're not Korean. So last year, I came out as a transracial Korean, and that was an important step in my transition process. Now, however, with my most recent surgeries, I have been experimenting and exploring being a Korean woman, and now feel ready to share with the world that I am gender fluid and now living as a Korean woman. I have no problem with Oli London being a trans woman, obviously. I have no problem with that. It's the added elements to this, they have had a total of 30 surgery procedures and have spent a total of £230,000 on surgeries, fillers, and Botox over the last 8 years. So he's a pre and post. Dude, it's just crazy because his eyes don't even look Korean. So obsessive. I have Jimin photo cards on my wall back there. I'll put a picture up. But I don't want to look like him because he's a human being. That's so weird. Listen, I don't want to invalidate their identity. If they truly did identify as a trans woman for 6 months, good for them. But part of me, I don't know, there's a little bit of previous stuff that they and stunts that they have pulled that make me seem like identifying as non-binary and then identifying as a trans woman, just a little bit skeptical that he actually identifies as that. The same people fail to respect transracialism and cannot see the clear parallels between changing gender and changing race. But there is no parallel. Gender is a social construct. It is something that you are grown up and taught into being. Race is not something you are taught to be. It is something that you are and you cannot change. So they actually, when this article aired, Oli London appeared on Channel 4's Would You Rather, where they clashed with an unnamed black woman who argued it is harmful to suggest that you can switch ethnicity. And obviously, yeah, I agree with her. She says transracial does not exist, and I think it's very, very harmful to push the narrative that it is possible to switch races. And she goes on to say, I can't sit up here and say, oh, I'm suddenly a white person. If you as a white person can sit up and say, oh, I can be black or I can be Korean, and I can't swap and benefit from the privilege you benefit from, then it is clearly not an equal exchange. And that is so true because trans women do experience misogyny when they transition and they start passing, for instance, because they're seen like a woman, so they get treated like a woman, and maybe they get harassed in the street like cis women do. They go through stuff like cis women do, basically is what I'm saying. You transition into another gender, you are going to be treated like that other gender. It is not the same thing when you transition into another race, because it's like the whole thing with cultural appropriation. When a white person gets cornrows, like Oli London actually did in this video, he had cornrows, which is just, oh my God, just wants to offend everybody, right? When you wear cornrows, you're not going to be treated like it's unprofessional. When a white person has cornrows, they don't get treated like that. It's cool, and it's appreciating the culture. It's what it is, because they're benefiting from their privilege as a white person, whereas a black person gets cornrows and they're not treated the same way, obviously. Yeah, he said 6 nose jobs and eye surgery, a facelift, a brow lift, a temple lift, a teeth procedure, and skin whitening injections. I don't know why you had to whiten your skin. You're already white. Just don't go out in the sun. Look how white I am. And another thing that happened with Oli London, this is the last thing I'm going to cover before we get into the Tucker Carlson thing. This happened in January of 2020. Exclusive, another Daily Mail UK exclusive. Again, that's where all the real journalism is. K-pop superfan marries a cardboard cutout of his singing idol in a bizarre ceremony in Las Vegas after spending $165,000 on surgery to look just like the star. So he says, I do at Viva Las Vegas Wedding Chapel when he marries a cardboard cutout of Jimin. Stalker-ish, a little bit obsessive maybe? In Las Vegas fashion, someone dressed as Elvis is performing the ceremony for them. And then after he married a cardboard cutout of Jimin, February 3rd of this year, so solid 2 years of marriage. Hey, that's more than most people get through, okay? Superfan Oli London divorces cardboard Jimin for a new TikTok crush. And oh my God, is this actual divorce papers? What? Wow. I don't know if those are real. I'm not a lawyer. That is insane, though, if that's real. For the last 2 years since me and Cardboard Jimin got married, I've received so much hate online, so much abuse, and millions and millions of haters. I wonder why. I'm not saying any of you should go and harass Oli, by the way, but I do wonder why that happened. There's this picture, and in this picture is the new crush that he has. And the new crush he has is actually a 20-year-old social media star, Vlad Hoshin. I've never heard of this guy, but he is Asian. Wait, oh my God, what is this video from Oli London's YouTube? What is this? Hey guys, it's just so fucking insane. Anyway, that's kind of the end of that story, and I just wanted to go over that to make it clear that what he has done is racist. It is harmful. It's harassment, honestly, against Jimin. So now that leads us into the character arc that he has had, where he recently rejected his trans identity to follow Jesus, and he now wants to be baptized. And this happened at the beginning of this month of November. And then about 2 weeks ago, he actually went on Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan, sharing his detransition story. We're going to pop over to Oli's YouTube video, and we're going to watch the Tucker Carlson clip and the Piers Morgan clip.
He has a video from October 14th titled Explaining My Detransition. And I watched it, and I'm confused because he did like a full 180 from what he's saying in the video to what he said, which you'll see in a minute, what he said on these news shows and what he's saying on his Twitter account. Again, I believe he did this 180 because he knows that what he's saying is going to give him the most amount of attention. I mean, I do think he actually did detransition and did experiment with his gender, and it wasn't for him, and good for him. Glad he realized he's a man now, blah, 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 right? So he says in the video that he's no longer gender fluid. He now identifies as a man, but he still identifies as Korean. In this video that was posted on October 14th, he says he still, quote unquote, identifies as Korean. And he says in the video his pronouns are Core/Ian and he, him, instead of Core Ian and she, her. He said he felt good and now he realizes it's not for him. Good for him, but you're still not Korean, Oli. So at the end of the video, he's actually being extremely respectful towards trans people, which makes me confused why he is suddenly being transphobic on these news channels. Again, I think it's for attention. Even if it is for attention, I say in the video, it's still extremely damaging, because even if you are an attention seeker and a troll, if you're saying something that's actually damaging to a community and you're being truly offensive to a community, that's not trolling anymore. You're just being a bad person. But at the end of this video, he was being respectful. He says to young trans people out there, he's like, take your time. But I'm just confused because he was being respectful. He didn't say, oh, this is a phase and all of you are going to grow out of it, blah, blah, blah. Like, basic turf rhetoric. He was like, take your time. This is a permanent decision, and I suggest that you all take your time, which of course I agree with. I think every trans person agrees with that. You should take your time when you're doing stuff like this. So I'm just so confused, guys.
Keep in mind that Tucker Carlson tonight is the most watched show on cable news in the US right now. And this is the story that they decide to share.
But 6 months later, he's decided he's had enough. Now he's transitioning back to being a British man. We thought we would ask him what that experience was like. Oli London joins us tonight. Oli London, thanks so much for coming on. So why did you decide to become a Korean woman? Who told you that was possible?
So obviously I've had a difficult time with my gender identity struggles. I was never unhappy with how I looked. So I started changing. I started dressing as a Korean woman.
Keep in mind, he says, I was never unhappy with the way I looked.
But, is it any wonder people like me and young people want to change their gender when we have the normalization of this in our schools in this country? Children are taught from a young age, from the age of 5 in some cases, that it's okay to change their gender. It's okay to, wear a skirt. It's okay for a boy to use a gender-neutral toilet when it puts girls at risk.
This is just hilarious to me because he's just spewing conservative talking points that's leading to people like me and possibly you being murdered just going to a nightclub.
They're eroding the alpha male.
Yeah, because Tucker Carlson is just the epitome of alpha male. Look at that face.
Now kids are being pushed this radical ideology. They're taught to idolize weak men like Harry Styles, weak politicians like Beto O'Rourke.
Just had to throw in Harry Styles because he knows conservatives hate Harry Styles because he wore that dress in that Vogue picture that one time, and now he's become the epitome of how masculinity is falling apart in society.
Why is this happening, And is it any wonder people like me fall victim to this, that I had all this surgery, I tried to change because, I kind of fell victim to this mentality.
They just neglect the fact that he had 14 surgeries to look like another human being before he had his minuscule, in comparison, 4 surgeries to feminize his face.
It's confused with their gender. A lot of kids have gender dysphoria, and, that wasn't a thing 20 years ago, Tucker.
Definitely was a thing 20 years ago. It just, we didn't assign a meaning to it, maybe because people didn't know what it was.
You know, I've never really found happiness until recently. So I was always struggling with my looks, as most kids do.
I've never had a problem with the way I looked. He just said 2 minutes later, I used to hate the way I look. Which one is it?
What's crazy about him being on specifically Tucker Carlson's show is he's speaking for the entire community. And random people who are tuning into Tucker Carlson, millions of people who tune into him every night, are watching this, and they don't realize that Oli London is a huge troll. And the majority of the stuff that he's saying, I personally believe that he doesn't actually believe in a lot of this stuff. You know, it's already bad enough, and I've talked about this before and gotten a lot of shit for it, but it's already bad enough when detransitioners spread transphobia, and they are used as by the far right as propaganda. But it's insane because he's not a normal detransitioner.
So now let's check out the Piers Morgan clip.
And she's with us now, alongside Oli London, who detransitioned and now lives as a man again. Good evening, both of you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Correction. Transition to first another human being, and then non-binary, and then a Korean woman. Conveniently left that out.
As you can see, I've got so many scars kind of all over my face. So I feel like that's how it started off. And then I got to a point earlier this year where I still hadn't achieved happiness. So I thought maybe I should be a trans woman. Maybe that's why I'm unhappy. So, you know, I was trans for 6 months. You know, I had the facial feminization surgery. I had 11 procedures. I had the hair extensions.
Oh, I had the hair extensions. And as we know, those are notoriously non-reversible.
But I'm always kind of changing my looks. I'm always kind of changing up. But yeah, I kind of saw on social media, you know, people constantly changing their identities. And I thought, you know, why not? Let me try it. Let me see if it's for me. But even as a trans woman, I was very respectful for women. I would never use women's restrooms or changing rooms.
It's just the same transphobia that we hear all the time. I would never make a cis woman uncomfortable because they're so uncomfortable when I go into the bathroom, because they always know and they can always tell when they see a transgender in the bathroom. Because as we know, it's not like cis women are being harassed in the bathrooms because they look just slightly masculine and people think they're a man.
And, you know, I think it's wrong. And I think there are so many people out there trying to push these ideas on young people. And I think I was one of those people influenced by that. You know, I was just chasing perfection. But I thought, you know, maybe I'm trapped because everybody else is saying, oh, you can change this, you can change that. I understand biology, and I also agree with Helen, you know, you can't change biology.
But you can change biology, but you can become the other race. Those were just abysmal interviews. And he's, like, turned into a full-on right-winger. Right-winger, again, I find it hard to believe that he does actually believe in what he's saying. And you can go through his Twitter. I'm not going to be bothered. His Twitter is insane.
I did find a few choice TikToks of his that I wanted to show you guys. This one, I have to mute it. I have to mute all of them because of the audio, but this one says, OMG, are you that Korean plastic surgery guy? And it's like that bump, bump sound on TikTok. I used to be. Now I'm in my British straight Christian male era. I can't do this. And then this is him in a church, and then it has a sound playing over it, but it's just like a worship sound, because I guess he wasn't in church during an actual a worship session. I forget what they're called now.
Day 30 of manhood, and I'm at Ulta Beauty looking for men's skincare products. Oh my god, you guys, I totally need a deal with Ulta Beauty for being a man.
He has mad beef with Dylan Mulvaney. He keeps talking about her on his Twitter too. It's actually really harmful though, because I mean, she deals with a lot of hate just because she's trans. And the stuff he's saying is definitely just fueling it. But that's totally okay because he's just a troll, right? And then this one, it's like that bum 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 da 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 that song. I don't know.
Again, even if he is trolling, it is still exceptionally damaging to the LGBTQ community because it's spreading misinformation and the wrong narrative and hate towards us, which is in turn getting us murdered and stopping us from living our lives because that's what they want. They don't want us to exist anymore. So,
guys, I'm actually excited to announce my marriage to poster Jamin over here. We've been going through a lot lately, and I feel like our relationship has just really blossomed the past couple of months, and we finally decided to make it official. I have the official court documents, and I'm just so excited to finally make this official and be with the love of my life. And I hope you all can take the news and give me the love and support that I deserve and that we need during this time of excitement and happiness that we should be experiencing. So I really appreciate it from all of y'all. Thank you so much.
You're not a great person, and I really hope I don't get those comments being like, he's just sharing his story of detransitioning. Yeah, on Tucker Carlson, on Piers Morgan, while simultaneously spreading hate towards us. Just sharing his story, literally becoming a tool for right-wing propaganda. That's what he's doing. I hope this video was informative for you as to the scandals that Oli London has been involved with, because there's so many. If there's any that I missed, feel free to comment, what's your favorite Oli London scandal? And let me know what you think about this whole situation and this insane character arc that he has had. Just let me know what you thought about this video. I'd appreciate it. And if you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. And if you happen to also like me, you can subscribe and make sure you turn on your notification bell so you know when I post a video. Mind-boggling that this is what we're doing. What reality are we in now? Can we switch realities? Can we go to a different one? I've lost track of how many times we switched. Yeah, hope you all enjoyed. See you in the next one. Bye.